I owe just about everything to baseball. I gave baseball my life for 27 years.
Number 1, Cookie Rojas.
I used to play, ball, take a rubber ball against a wall and start fiddling, And in my mind, and this is the honest to God truth, in my mind, I was in Yankee Stadium.
Ladies and gentlemen, number 15, Frank Thomas.
I have six big scrapbooks at home, and I look at those articles, and I just wonder, did I do all of that? It's nice to look back and reminisce. It's nice to be remembered.
It's nice to be remembered, and that's what we're doing tonight, remembering. It's the 5th annual National Old Timers Baseball Classic. Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to the National Old Timers Baseball Classic. Scene of action, RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. This is a great event, and we're all happy to be here. I'm Ernie Harwell. Right here beside me is Jack Brickhouse. And, Jack, we've got 17 Hall of Famers in for this game. And I know that the players consider this the most prestigious of all the old-timers games. Why is that?
Well, I think that the reason principally for that, Ernie, is that this one is the attraction in itself. The others are important and they're fun, but they are still the preliminary to the regularly scheduled game, generally. This one is the attraction by itself, plus the fact that it's in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. There's a certain magic about that, and the players and all the people who accompany them are just generally very tickled to be here.
And this game always draws a pretty good turnout, doesn't it?
Yes, and I think the people in Washington, D.C. would like to use that as an argument in favor of getting another franchise here, and maybe they've got a good point.
Now let's go to George Grand, who's on the field.
On top of that, we got the last time at bat, so we got one shot at them at the end, and we should score runs in that inning if we have to.
You're down 3-1.
Well, sometimes that's good. Last year in the World Series and the playoffs, there's a lot of clubs down. But if we win tonight, we're only down 1.
And this is only a one-game season.
It's a one-day managing job for me, and I've worked at it all day. I've set up in that room and planned different strategies, and I always come back. It looks like we're going to just have to hit the ball.
Ralph Houck and Billy Herman, the two managers for this 5th annual Old Timers Baseball Classic. Let's go back upstairs.
Thank you, George. I do have fond memories of Ralph Houck. He managed the Tigers for a while, and although he had the reputation of being the Iron Major, I think there was a lot of pussycat in Ralph Houck. However, Jack, he was a terrific hitter, and I always told him he was the best with the needle since Betsy Ross. How about Billy Herman?
Well, Billy Herman was a pretty serious ball player, and I believe that the results that he showed justified his being as serious as he wanted to be. After all, he was an outstanding second baseman with the Cubs, and here's a fellow who hit 57 doubles 2 years in a row. That, to me, is some accomplishment. That bat in his hand was a magic wand.
Well, we've got the Most Valuable Player Award coming up again this year, and it goes back to the very first one. And remember who won that first one?
Oh, Luke Appling? Who can forget Luke with that home run in his late 70s, for heaven's sake? Warren Spahn will never forget it.
Right.
And then, of course, we move along to the next year, which was Al Kaline, your buddy.
Right.
And then, of course, Mr. Aaron and Mr. Haller split it. By that, I mean they didn't split the chair. They split the time in it. And then, of course, our pal Mazeroski.
He hit a home run, and that got him the Most Valuable Player Award. Bill Mazeroski.
And I'm sure that this year we'll have somebody else equally suitable.
The 5th annual National Old Timers Baseball Classic is being brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By McDonald's. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's. And by Metropolitan Life and affiliated companies. Get Met. It pays.
Nothing makes your day like helping others make it on their own.
You bring out the pride we all feel inside.
It's going to be easy next week.
It's more than just a job you do. You make America work, and this Bud's for you.
Good work.
Here's to you, Beechwood Age, for that clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
This Bud's for you.
Okay, everybody, let's go. group life and health insurance from Metropolitan Life? I know they're #1 in group life insurance and a leader in group health insurance, but I'm just a manager of a little ball club. Maybe my group should be covered. I have the strangest feeling I just did something right. Getting it pays.
The ceremonial pitch tonight, tossed out by Lee McPhail, former American League president. He is the recipient of the Pioneer Award, granted by the Sporting News for his great contribution to baseball. The players are warming up down on the field now here at RFK Stadium. And down on the field with the American League captain is George Grand.
Thank you, guys. We're just about ready to get this one underway, and with us is the Yankee Clipper, Joe DiMaggio. 50 years in baseball, and 45 years ago, the 56-game hit streak. What a memory, Joe.
Well, I sure have some fond memories of that particular streak, but there are other things that I think about as well. And that's the teammates that I played with. I think they stand out in my mind through all these years. I've thought about them very, very often. Fellas like Lou Gehrig, Bill Dickey, Lefty Gomez, and Charlie Ruffin. These were great guys to be with. And when I joined the Yankees, these are the fellas that started the dynasty, and I was happy to be with them.
We got some great guys here tonight, too.
We sure have. And it's fortunate that I am invited to it because I get a chance to see some of the players I did play with. And the main thing is to getting to know the opposition, fellas that I had played for in the past. Never got to know them. Knew them as ball players. Couldn't say hello to them because that was not the thing to do during that period of time because of fines. Today they can do it. But it's nice to know the type of personality they have today to what I thought they were when we played against them.
Joe, it's always great to see you.
It's nice to see you. Thanks, George.
Joe DiMaggio, the Yankee Clipper, here on the American League side. Let's go over to Jay Johnstone in the National League.
Thank you, George. With me, the greatest center fielder in the National League. How's it feel being back playing with some of these guys?
Well, it's a good feeling, Jay, because in the clubhouse is what it's all about, I think. As you well know, when all of us get together, we tell some stories about different things we had in the past, and I think it's just a wonderful feeling just to see all these people here, to come out and see guys play that probably way, way over the hill. I think it's a tribute to them, and I think this is really why I came, because I feel that the fans want a ball club in Washington, and I think they should have one.
Bring back some memorable moments just being on the field for you?
Oh, I think it does. Even though I can't do the things I did 15 years ago, it really brings back, especially if I hit a home run now, and I can run around the base, that really brings back memories. But I really don't worry about hitting too much. I just really, go out and have fun.
Our guest, Willie Mays. Thank you, Willie.
All right, then.
Thank you, Jay. Good to see those two captains, Joe DiMaggio and Willie Mays, and it's great to know that they come here to benefit other people.
Right. The beneficiary of this affair tonight is the Association of Professional Ball Players of America, who, of course, is dedicated to helping needy old ball players, and believe me, there are some, but the point is do it without a lot of fanfare, without the glare of publicity, so these men may keep their dignity.
Players are warming up down on the field, and we'll be back for the action in a moment.
He's the umpire. He might call a good one for me.
That's true chaos, buddy.
Richmond's swooping down to the ground.
That's true chaos, buddy.
You're busy, but you gotta eat, right? Well, nobody serves a great hot meal faster than McDonald's.
Famous Metropolitan Life Representative, champion of security for over 43 million people, reliable source not only of life insurance, but also of auto and homeowners insurance, trustworthy, conscientious, caring, responsive, experienced, financially shrewd, perspicacious, smart, a true friend in time of trouble, You're a metropolitan representative. Get met. It pays.
Billy Martin may be back in Yankee pinch.
Easy first inning for the American League, and now American League comes to bat, and there's Willie McCovey at first base for the Nationals. Mr. Mazeroski of the Pittsburghs at second. And the great ex-basketball star and baseball star, Dick Groat at short. Johnny Logan, the famous Johnny Logan from Milwaukee. Lou Brock in left. Willie Mays. And Mr. Hustle, Enos Slaughter in right. Jerry Grody. And the great left-hander Warren Spahn. That'll be the defensive lineup for the National League All-Stars. And to lead it off, the shortstop who made that final play, Milt Bowling.
Well, you know, Milt and his brother Frank are but two of the many big leaguers to come out of Mobile, Alabama. And they're proud of their hometown heritage.
It speaks well of the city. We've had several other kids from Mobile that have done well too. When you think of Cleon Jones and Amos Ullrich and Tommy Agee
we got another Hall of Famer there too. Satchel Paige is originally from Mobile.
We're thinking about going have a contest in Mobile and put together our major league team and challenge other cities around the country to see if they can come up with a better one. I think we're going to be right up in there. When you take Hank Aaron from Mobile, the greatest right-handed home run hitter of all time, then Willie McCovey, the greatest left-handed hitter of this modern time, home run hitter, and then also Billy Williams from Mobile. And
another good hitter.
And Milt and I, we keep wondering, I don't know about Milt, but I kept wondering, how in the world did we get on this team,
That's
you know?
Right. It was segregation back in those days, and I never had heard of Hank Aaron until after he signed with the Indianapolis Clowns, and then I heard of him because we played him an exhibition game after he'd come back his first year in pro ball, and he faced a guy we had named Pete Wojcik, who played a little bit in the big leagues. He could really fire. And we beat him something like 17-3, and the only 3 runs were 3 home runs by Hank Aaron. Then we knew who Hank Aaron was. But until that time, he was 18 years old. I had never heard of Hank Aaron.
When Milt and I and Aaron's were coming up, we didn't have leagues. We ended up at the park, and we'd just pick up a ball and a bat and play, and we didn't care what color you were, the whites and blacks. We all played together and had a good time, and we really had fun and enjoyed it. And maybe that's the part of it that some of these kids are missing now, is the fun part of it.
Bowling at the plate now, Warren Spahn, and he fouls it away. Remember how they used to count Warren Spahn down when he made that mark? 1, 2, 3, 4. When he'd wind up, he did it by the numbers. That's Mazeroski putting it away, and Bowling is out. 1 out.
I'll never forget the first one of these games when Appling hit the home run. Here's a 75-year-old man at the time hit a home run off Spahn, and I'll never forget the look on Spahny's face.
What a way to start off the Classic. Here's a great Bobby Dorr. Great player, outstanding coach. Little pop-up back to short. And Groat takes care of that one. Bonnie leaves. Base comes in. There's no score in the game.
Fixing this water damage will cost $1,200. Could I have prevented it?
You could with Thompson's Water Seal.
This water damage is going to run $750. What would have stopped it?
Prevent water damage with Thompson's Water Seal. Simply brush Thompson's on wood, brick, or concrete, and it penetrates to form a barrier water can't get past, even when driven by 98-mile-per-hour winds.
This time, I'm going to protect my new deck with Thompson's Water Seal. A great defense against repair expense.
There's just one place you need to go for all the names and games making sports news. ESPN Sports Center. Twice every day, 3 times on Sunday, Chris Berman, Gail Gardner, and Greg Gumbel bring you the latest scores, the hottest trades, and the top plays from the world of sports. SportsCenter takes you on the road with live remotes from major events like the NBA Finals and the Indy 500. SportsCenter, your total source for sports, only on the Total Sports Network, ESPN.
Elroy Face coming in, the fellow that put relief pitching on the front page, Jack, with that 18-1 record one year.
Oh, wasn't that a fantastic performance? Elroy, of course, and Bob Prince, our departed colleague who goes into the Hall of Fame, after that famous 60 series, put up a nightclub act together, and Elroy played a pretty mean guitar.
Also a great carpenter, so the hammer and the guitar, pretty versatile. Here's Brooks Robinson now, the great Oriole. Not much chance to hit that one. That forkball now has become the split finger, but it's just a matter of terminology. Elroy's having trouble with getting that ball up there. Oh, he got it far enough, but not in the right place, and he says, I'm hurting. Get me out of here. Elroy Face has to leave, arm trouble, and his old Pittsburgh cohort, Bob Friend, will come in and take over. Elroy says, I'm hurting. Jay Johnstone is in the dugout. Let's go to Jay.
With me, one of my heroes, a former teammate and locker mate, Tug McGraw. Does this bring back some memories for you?
It sure does. I remember the first old-timers game I remember being in the dugout for. It was my rookie year with the Mets back in 1965. And it was a reunion at Shea Stadium. The stadium was only a year old. It was a reunion between some of the old New York ball players, the old Brooklyn Dodgers and the old Giants. And Bobby Thompson was there, and Ralph Blanca was there. And don't you know that when Blanca faced Thompson, Thompson hit a home run out of Shea Stadium. It was unbelievable. It was like bringing back that whole Giants won the pennant story again.
You know, they talk about the 69 minutes, but you coined the phrase, you got to believe, with the 73 one.
You know, yeah, that was a fun time, and it was a good year. It was a lot of fun for everybody. We were all frustrated, and I guess saying you got to believe kind of represented that we have to get our confidence back, and then maybe we can get down to winning. And it worked out well for us that year. It was a lot of fun.
It was never so more prolific as in the 80 World Series with the Phillies when you bounced that glove incessantly off that leg.
Yeah, that was, I guess in Philadelphia, you know, to be a part of a championship team that won a World Series for a city for the first time in 97 years. And to be a part of that is like, you know, it's what you dream about. You know, this is an old-timers game here too. And, you know, when you were a rookie and you're watching all the old-timers at the old-timers games they have every year, you think about someday during the course of your career, you can come close to filling their shoes. And now to be at an old-timers game, now I'm retired, to be able to walk among these men as one of their peers is like a tremendous sight.
You know, Ernie, both those fellas knew how to keep a ball club loose.
They sure did, and whatever Tug McGraw says, you still got to believe, haven't you? Well, here's Bob Friend. He remembers in Washington, in the All-Star game, struck out Ted Williams with the bases loaded. At this time, he walks Brooks Robinson.
Bob, of course, was an elected official in public service for several years there in Pittsburgh, but gave that up, and now he's a very successful businessman.
Out of politics, into business. Well, here's a very successful man, whatever he does, Al Kaline.
If I recall, this man never played one inning of minor league ball, Ernie, right?
That's right, straight from the sandlots of Baltimore, Jack. Right to the outfield for the Detroit Tigers. Hall of Fame on the first ballot. We've got no score in this battle. Mr. Friend got one over on Kaline. Al looks good. He's still in great shape. Hits it pretty good from left field. And caught by Lou Brock. And that ends the inning. A walk to Brooks Robinson, and that was it for the American League attack. And at the end of a full inning, National League nothing, and the American League nothing.
Personal Best. Brought to you by the U.S. Army. Be all you can be. Olympic silver medalist Michelle Mitchell achieved her personal best with discipline and training.
I'm training 6 days a week, 11 months of the year, 4 or 5 hours a day, plus weights and exercises. But like anything else, a good executive takes his work home. You don't just leave it at the pool, or you don't leave it on your desk. And so the discipline, it's a 24-hour affair.
A great Cleveland Indian fastball pitcher takes over.
You know, you could say, Ernie, that Bob Feller was the Dwight Gooden of his day, a teenager who could throw that ball past those big league hitters. And that was in the days before the radar gun, and one of the schemes to clock Feller's fastball was to have him pitch it past a racing motorcycle.
Lou Fonseca is the film director of Major League Baseball in Chicago. He was at Comiskey Park, and he said what he was going to do. So he and I got a couple balls and a couple mitts and went out to the north end of Chicago, and it closed off the street. And I said, Lou, there's no way I can throw through that target and get that motorcycle up here by me at the same time. I said, it'd be difficult to look over my shoulder and take my full wind-up and throw it beside that to hit that target in there. And he said, well, try it. I warmed up. I took my coat off. I had my necktie on and my long white shirt, like the way I always dress. And it was a hot day. And I was perspiring quite a bit, so I wound up, and the motorcycle roomed up and came by me. I let him get by me about 10 feet further than what I'd anticipated, and I turned around, looked at the target, and fired as hard as I could, and lo and behold, the ball went right through the target about 3 feet ahead of the motorcycle, and they got it in slow motion. The camera behind me and behind the target, they got it all, and they replayed it in slow motion. And I gained 13 feet on this motorcycle, which was going 86 miles per hour, so that figures out that I threw that ball, believe it or not, 107.9, which was moving pretty good.
Going pretty good is right, and now it's very simple. They just put a radar gun on that fastball and measure it. Here's Willie McCovey. Great power to all fields, this fellow. That's going to be a long foul out of play. Let's go to George Grant in the dugout with Whitey Ford.
We're here with Whitey Ford. You got Willie to pop up, Whitey.
Finally. The poor shortstop almost broke his hand. He hit it so hard. But I never had much luck with Willie. In the All-Star games, I think he was about 9 for 15 off of me, and he's always hit me well. But I didn't think he'd jump on the first pitch. I was just laying it down the middle to get ahead of him. But he's a great hitter. He still is.
He is still a great hitter. Look at that concentration. Bob Feller threw a few of those strikes in his great career. A lot of people forget that he had a great curveball, Jack. McCovey gets himself a single.
Well, you know, speaking of Feller's curveball, he knew that if he was going to last in the major leagues, no matter how fast his fastball was, he had to develop a curve. And he finally developed what was considered the best curve in the American League. As a matter of fact, as I recall, the only man who ever went the entire career with just a fastball and was successful was Walter Johnson.
Absolutely. He was a great one, too. Here's Mazeroski. Everybody remembers that home run that Maz hit. That'll follow him wherever he goes, won't it?
Oh, yes.
That's Bill Freehand back at the plate. Bob Feller on the mound. Mazeroski at bat.
I'd like to be in Freehand shape.
He's in great shape, Bill Freehand. Frank Robinson goes back on it, and will he get it? Nope. No! Kaline picks it up and gets it back into the infield. The scorer says that that's a single. Now, this is the first threat we've seen. Dick Grote comes up with 2 men on. McCovey and Mazeroski on the bases. Great basketball player, great baseball player. Inside corner. No score, 2 on. Second inning for the National Leaguers. I think fella's serious, don't you?
Yes. As a matter of fact, he looks like he's been working out and getting in better shape since the last time I saw him in an old-timers game. He's really working on that curveball.
That one strokes pretty good, but it's foul. One thing about this game, they have a lot of fun, but they do bring their old professional intensity into it.
You're right about that, Ernie. They joke a lot and they kid around a lot, but when they cross those white lines, they're serious. They're competitors.
No score. The National League at bat. It's the second inning. They've got 2 men on. Dick Grote against Bob Feller.
I will say this, no matter how great a competitors they are, if you get a knockdown pitch, it really is an accident in this one.
Yeah, I don't think they'd knock them down intentionally. I don't think we'll see the runners going here. Hey, that one's hit pretty good. Base hit. Frank Robinson falls down but gets it back into the infield. And the bases are loaded for the National League. Johnny Logan. See Johnny around Milwaukee whenever we go in. He comes in and has a few words. Bases loaded. Bob Feller's in trouble.
Johnny's always ready with at least a few words.
Fly ball to Colavito. He's coming in. Hey, there's the arm. Wow. He can still throw, Jack. Wow.
That was mid-season form, no matter what year we're talking about.
Always had a great arm, Rocky Colavito. And he showed it off there, and look at that crowd. They appreciate it. Freehan is telling Fella, I don't believe that guy can still throw that good, but he did. Jerry Grote coming to bat now.
Well, you know, Ernie, on hand tonight, we have several players who shared in the glory of the amazing Mets of the 60s. Jerry Grote was as instrumental as anyone in the success of that 69 team, not just for his hitting, but for his handling of that great young pitching staff. Ed Kranepool was another key member of the 69 Mets. His home run in the third game was one of the biggest hits of that year's World Series. And Kranepool and Grote still savor those wonderful memories.
Our ball club in 69 was a close-knit group. We had a lot of social outings together. We had a lot of fun together. We really were a close group of guys. I mean, we traveled on and off the field together. We partied together. We had some good times. I mean, I know that A lot of fun. We got in trouble. The manager, we know, we checked curfew, and some of us might be out. But we were all together. I'll tell you, when we were out, it was a group together, and it wasn't that we were spread out all over the town. We might still be in the hotel, but, you know, they did have room checks in those days, and they found out that all the rooms were still there.
That was about all.
But we had a lot of fun, and I tell you, that made winning that much more important.
You know, when you've got 4 or 5 guys who are starting pitchers who are throwing well over 90 miles an hour, I mean, you don't even see that now. Sure, you've got maybe 1 or 2 guys on the staff, but, I mean, we had Seaver, Kuzman, Ryan, and Gentry. You know, McGraw was there. McGraw was the easiest thrower of the bunch, and he was throwing better than 90. So, you know, we had one heck of a pitching staff, and it just got better. I mean, you went to the bullpen, you didn't lose anything. That's what made it fun.
Terry had a good perspective of the pitching staff. As you know, when you're breaking in the catches a bit in the old days, it used to take a couple of weeks. He used to break his gloves in 2 or 3 days. He knew those guys were throwing hard. So I'll tell you what, from his viewpoint, he knew what the other clubs had to look for.
I think the most amazing thing, and of course Ed is right in New York. He is a New Yorker and everything else, and he might not see it as much as an outsider. Now, I'm from San Antonio, and I'm a Texan, and I still am a Texan, and going to New York is a total different atmosphere. And the thing that amazed me the most was that New Yorkers actually stopped and were talking to each other. Every window in New York had a TV in it, and there was a group of people in front of every window. Nobody was moving during the entire World Series. Nothing happened. No business went on or anything, I don't think. And it was just a situation that people really stopped, and all of a sudden it was one town for everybody together. And that's what, to me, was really amazing.
You know, Ernie, Gil Hodges told me a great line. The manager of that ball club, I said, well, what could you think to say to your team when you assembled in the spring? He said, all I could think to say to those guys after what they had done was, don't forget to tip the hotel maids.
There's a bouncing ball for a force out, and a run scores on that one. And the National League will take a lead, 1-0. Now we'll see the replay, and look at Grote go in and take out Bobby Doerr. Talk about intensity. These guys are serious.
Oh, yes, and that wasn't a bad throw either.
So that puts the National League on top, 1-0. Bob Friend, the pitcher, will come to bat. Not too many times in this game you see a pitcher up at the plate. Ground ball to Boog Powell, and Boog can still pick him up, and he touches the bag for the out. And the National League has a lead, 1-0, as we go to the last half of the second inning.
You know, a big whaler dealer like me has to keep up on the action. The players, who's hot, who's not. And what's a better deal than picking up a copy of Sports Illustrated? You see, Sports Illustrated...
Excuse me, sir, but I got a better deal.
Yeah, kid, right. I'll handle this. You see, Sports Illustrated gives me more than just stats and scores. I get the feeling of what it's like to hit a brick wall at 30 miles an hour. How it feels to look down the barrel of a loaded gun. To lose a tough one. And how it feels to win it all. That's what Sports Illustrated gives me.
Well, Sports Illustrated gave me this NFL Follies video cassette. Free with my paid subscription. It's 44 minutes of fumbles, foolery, and follies. It makes a great gift, and it's free.
Free? Come on, kid. This is America. Nobody gives you something for nothing.
Okay, free for subscribing to Sports Illustrated.
Aha!
But that's just a half of it. I get Sports Illustrated for less than one-half your newsstand price. 27 action-packed weeks of football, baseball, basketball, and more delivered right to your door for 3 installments of just $9.79 each.
That's more than 50% off.
Subscribe now and you get the College and Pro Football Spectacular. Plus, you get this handy NFL schedule free, and you get the famous swimsuit issue uncovering what truly is man's favorite spectator sport. Phones are open now. Just call this toll-free number and you get the whole deal. You can even use your credit card.
Okay, let's get this straight. They get a 50% savings. The schedule, the football spectacular, the swimsuit issue, and the free NFL tape. Now, see, kid? That's a great deal.
Gee, sir, you're right.
Yeah.
Get the savings, get the special issues, get the NFL schedule, get the video cassette.
Oh, Sports Illustrated? I want to renegotiate.
Sports Illustrated. Get the feeling. ESPN viewers, call now. 1-800-541-9000.
National League in the lead, 1-0. We go to the bottom of the second now. The American League has come to bat. Frank Robinson, one of the few player managers that we've seen in recent years.
Ernie, I think we have a change in right field. I think Thomas has replaced Slaughter out there.
And Bob Friend will be pitching to Frank here. Dick Trzeski told me that he thinks Frank Robinson is the greatest player that he ever saw. Hey, there's a new pitch, the Rosenbag trick. Going to charge him.
I wish it had been in the strike zone. I'd like to see what Robbie would do with it.
He would probably hit it. He hit most everything thrown up there in that strike zone.
Well, he's the only man ever to win MVP in both leagues.
That's quite a feat. National League has the lead here at RFK Stadium, 1-0. That's the American League batting in the second inning. And Frank Robinson trying to get something started. Won't do it with that one. McCovey makes the catch.
I remember a great McCovey line. He was being interviewed in the opening day of the season after spring training. And I forget who the broadcaster was out there, said, "What did you do all winter?" He said, "Well, I sold cars." He said, "Well, how did you do?" He said, "I sold one. I sold one to my dentist."
Boog Powell. Boog's writing cookbooks now about mesquite cooking. He's the guy that wrote the book about eating, too, I think. You know, when Boog was playing Little League in Florida, he was so big when he was a youngster down there in Lakeland that he had to have an ID card saying that he was not 16 or 17 years old. So Boog gets on with a base on balls, a man on and one man down. And here's the man who made that great throw, Rocky Colavito.
Well, you know, Rocky Colavito had a terrific arm in the outfield. He just proved that again tonight. And he had plenty of pop in his bat, too. He had 374 career homers, including 45 in 1961 for the Tigers. One of his biggest thrills came on June 10th, 1959, when he became only the 8th player in Major League history to hit, get this, 4 home runs in a single game.
First time up, I walked off of Jerry Walker, and then I went in the field, and Albie Pearson, who was playing for Baltimore then, I think he was their right fielder also, and he had a line shot down the right field line, and I was playing him to pull, and I come over and I caught the ball one-handed going towards the line. And as I caught the ball, a fan in the lower, well, it was right above that wall, threw a whole cup of beer right in my face. I was livid. So I went up the next time up and I hit a home run. I was really angry, upset. A lot of people think it triggered it, you know, but I think it was something that was going to happen anyway. I hit a home run off of Jerry Walker the first time up. Next 2 times up, I hit 2 in a row off of Arnold Porter Carrero. Then the last time I came up, it was the 9th inning, and I think it was the 9th inning, I'm pretty sure. 8th or 9th, I think it was the 9th. And Herb Score, who's a very close personal friend of mine and my roommate, says to me, "Okay, Roomie," he said, "you go up there and you hit number 4. He said, "Don't fool around. Just go up and hit 4. And I said to him, "Are you kidding?" I said, "I was 3 for 28 coming into this game." I said, 4 hits is a month for me. I said, you know, I'd be glad to get a 4 for 4 night. If I get a single, I'll be happy. And I said, God's honest true story. And he said to me, he said, "BS," he said to me, "go ahead and do it." So I said to him, I didn't say anything to him. I just went up to the plate. And the first pitch from Ernie Johnson, who had not given up a home run at that point, he was their top reliever at the time. And Ernie pushed me back with a high inside fastball. And the next pitch, he got it out just a little bit further. and I hit it up in the seats. And that one I hit as hard as any of them, and I knew it was gone the second I hit it. I ran around the bases until I got home, and then once I hit home, and I jumped up, and all my teammates were out there, and it was just a great moment for me.
I was broadcasting in Baltimore when Rocky hit those home runs, and he started out down the line. The first one was down the line, and each succeeding home run went farther out towards center field.
Remember the time when Frank Lane traded him, the leading home run hitter, for Harvey Keene, the leading batting average league in the league hitter?
I remember it well. It was spring training, and that was my first year with the Tigers, and it was announced the final day of spring training, 1960. Hey, it's gone. Colavito cracks one out of here, long gone in the left field seats, and that will put the American League into the lead 2-1.
Well, you know, they've got a short porch in left, but that's a home run in any ballpark in the world.
They love it in Washington. A 2-run homer by Colavito. Now let's take a look at that cut. Still got power, still got wallop. And he knows it, it's gone. Bill Freehand, what great shape he is in. He's a coach for the Tigers in the springtime, but he's a businessman in the summer. Also works on the past television. Watch out, he hit him. Let's go to George Grant in the dugout.
We're here with the Rock. Not a bad throw from the outfield, and you got the high, hard one.
Well, George, I felt really good. Like I said to the other fellows, I've been throwing a little bit. I throw to my son that's playing at Bluefield, West Virginia for the Oriole organization, and I had the opportunity to throw some batting practice to him, so my arm doesn't feel too bad, but they threw the ball where I was swinging, so, that always helps.
I remember 65. You went through a season without any errors. You're proud of that.
Very much so, yes. That was one record that not very many people remember, George. I appreciate your memory, but it was a fun year for me. The only time in my life I ever won a whole season without making an error.
4 home runs in one game, one June day. Maybe you get 4 tonight, too.
Gee, I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to last that long.
Rocky Colavito, good job.
Thank you, George.
Well, Bill Freehand didn't want to take his bait. He said he's like a fisherman. He threw that one back. Hit by the pitch, but he says, I want to get another swing. Well, they're not going to let him swing anyway. This time it will be a base on ball. Freehand trots down to first. And we'll get a pinch hitter at this point in the game. Old Aches and Pains, the hero of the first classic, Luke Appling.
There's Luscious Luke.
79 years old and still at it.
Incidentally, that's Tom Gorman checking Luke Appling into the game. Tom's a veteran National League umpire who had his medal tested many a time by the likes of DeRocher. But when you ask Tom which manager gave him the most trouble, Leo the Lip's not the answer.
Freddie Hutchinson, Cincinnati. My Patsy was Leo DeRocher, which I think is a fine, fine man. We get along pretty good. But I chased him a couple of times during my career. But he used to come out of sight and game of the week, Saturdays, Sundays, holy days of obligation, different things. He used to pick a spot. But a fine, colorful manager. And I think you heard the story before. We come on to play at first base, and he's howling and screaming about it. He said, Tom, how can you call that man out? The man is about it. What are you looking at? Howling and screaming. And the veins, the eyeballs are going, really putting this show on. You get a great crowd. And I says to myself, let him holler a little longer, Tom. Maybe get a heart attack or something. See what I mean? And he kept going. I said, Leo, I'm going to tell you something. That man tagged first base with the wrong foot. He looked at me, and that was the end of the conversation. He turned around, went back into the dugout. He talked to the ball players. They were laughing like anything. Now, after the game, we were coming across the field, going to our dugout. Our dressing room was in behind the Cub dugout. And he said, hey, I want to talk to you. I said, what do you want, Lee? He said, how long are you in the league? I said, 20 couple of years. He said, I'm going to tell you something, Tom. They can tag first base with any foot. The right answer at the right time. Some guys accuse us of having a quick thumb. Well, if a guy comes out, bing, right away, you know, like DeRocher or Freddie Hudson years ago, and of course the American League, you got Weaver and you got Billy Martin, because he's not managing no more. But say, gee, you're quick on the thumb. One of the first 2 words is abusive. The end of the story. Goodbye, Charlie. Don't bother me. I don't think no man should stand abusive language. You have to have respect for each other. You have respect for each other. First of all, you got respect for the game. And then if he thought he was getting away with something, really, he's going to go further. If Weaver turned that hat around in the National League, we'd bury his ears with it.
You got to hand it to those umpires, Jack. They're great storytellers, and they're a very integral part of the game. Lucius Luke, strike called. I remember when he hit 4 home runs for Oglethorpe University before he signed with the Atlanta Crackers back in the 1920s.
You look younger than that, Ernie.
Well, I was about 5 years old. You had a lot of fun with Luke in Chicago, didn't you?
Oh, for years.
He's looking him over this time.
Nobody could foul pitches like Appley until he got the one he wanted.
He didn't like the club owner. He'd get up there and foul off the baseballs, and cost him a little bit. Put the wood on it, but it'll be caught. Lou Brock takes care of that one. So that's the second out, and Lucius Luke goes back to the dugout. Oh, aches and pains. Milt Balding will be up now for the American Leaguers. There's Kaline and Appling having a little conversation. Ground ball to first. McCovey makes the play, and that's it. But the American League gets 2, and they have the lead at the end of 2 innings. American 2 and the National League 1.
Every day, 350 tons of paper leaves this mill and heads straight for your desk as memos, reports, newspapers, magazines, all the byproducts of the information explosion. Fortunately, some of this paper is also used to print the Wall Street Journal. At the Journal, more than 400 reporters and editors sift through all the information that could be useful to you and your career. And then they present it to you, each business day, in the Journal's mercifully concise format.
Early Wynn takes over, and let's go to Jay with Bob Friend.
A high hard one to Calavito.
Listen, I got that sinker up, and you get a high sinker up, she's gone. He took a good cut at that. I felt pretty good out there. I think if I had a few more roundings, I'd be ready.
Well, we all know it's been fun. Does
It's a lot of fun.
Bring back memories for you?
Oh, it certainly does. These are guys I've all played with, and it's a lot of nostalgia, and they just do this thing up so beautifully that we all enjoy it.
Lou Brock will lead it off for the National League. They are trailing the American Leaguers 2-1.
Umpire switch. Honachek behind the plate now. He's traded places with Gorman.
Done more for eyeglasses than anybody in the nation lately. Strike called on Brock. Surprised Early Wynn didn't knock him down.
If he crowds the plate on him, he might.
He sucks it. Base hit for Brock. He leads off in the third.
There's Early, 300 wins.
And Frank Thomas will be the hitter now against Early Wynn.
Now, there's no stealing in this old-timers game. Lou's just having a little fun with those leadoffs. He's often said that arrogance was the key to his base-running success, and until he used that arrogance against Jerry Grote, the former Mets and Dodger catcher used to throw him out with regularity.
I figure that as a base stealer, Jerry Grote was making a perfect throw, so you might as well tell him when you were going to go and see if he could withstand the pressure, and I found out that he couldn't. And after that, I became a heckler.
but also we remained friends. But it was a competitive type of a heckling, whereby one was trying to get the extra edge.
Well, he started yelling at me all the time to get my arm loose and everything. Well, that didn't make any difference because I can only make a good throw. And finally, one day, I just told him, I says, hey, you can't steal first base. And he was 0 for 16, I think, for the weekend. And the last time up got a double then. So from then on, he shut up.
Frank Thomas at the plate. You know, Frank used to have a bet with his teammates. He'd stand at the plate and let the guy throw as hard as he could, and I'd catch whatever he can throw with my bare hand.
Frank's got an interesting occupation now. He, for the last several years, has been going around to schools, encouraging youngsters to finish school.
And he gets a base on ball. Team him out with the National League. And Willie Mays coming to bat again. Looks like we'll have a pitching change here. Willie's going to have to wait a little bit, and Chuck Stevens is making a pitching change with the American League leading 2-1.
There's something about a born leader that you recognize immediately. That's why over 43 million people flock to Metropolitan for insurance protection. That's why 68 of the top 100 American industrial companies come to Metropolitan for employee benefit programs. In fact, Metropolitan is one of America's largest pension asset managers. Because a leader is someone you feel sure about, no matter what. Getting that, it pays.
You know, a big wheeler dealer like me has to keep up on sports. And what's a better deal?
Big, strong guy, a lot of power.
There was no more imposing figure at the plate than Willie McCovey. Stretch hit it far, and he hit it far often. But with a long career to reflect back on, he singles out his first day in a Major League uniform as his most memorable.
I'll never forget that, naturally. My first day in the major leagues. And because I was rushed up from Phoenix, from AAA, so I really didn't have time to get excited about that day because I was up all night the night before packing at Phoenix, got there in time for a day game. The team was already on the field taking batting practice when I arrived, so I didn't even have batting practice that day. However, I did suit up and I went out for infield practice. And I remember Bill Rigney coming up to me and asking me, how do you feel? So naturally, I wasn't going to tell him I had been up all night. I said, I feel great. He said, well, you're in there and you're hitting third. And he said, you know whose spot that is because he's hitting second today. So I think that was the first time Mays had ever hit second. He moved him up to second, put me in the third spot. And, of course, I went out and I got the 4 hits off Robin Roberts, and that was just an exciting day. Naturally, I went on later in my career to have quite a few highlights. And actually, I'll have to think about the second game of the World Series, hitting the home run off Ralph Terry, and it's just so many. My 500th home run, because there was such a build-up leading up to that. And of course, I can go on, but naturally, that first day you have to rank right at the top.
McCovey waiting on Catfish. A couple of strikes on him now.
I was glad to see this man get into the Hall of Fame.
Now Jay's in the dugout with Willie Mays.
You've been out of the game for a little while, and you come back and the same old stuff, 2-line drives.
Well, I wish I could have got the first one up. The last one, I think he jammed me a little bit. I think Catfish has been throwing somewhere. He threw the ball very well.
He always pitches up, but is it still fun for you?
I think it is. You look at all the people, what happened. When Rocky hit the home run, that's just great because that's what they come out to see. And if I could have hit one, that would have been that much better.
Willie McCovey, elected to the Hall of Fame.
I think it's something that the Giants should be proud of. We have more people in the Hall of Fame than anybody, so I think it's just great, too.
Willie, thanks.
All right. Thank you, Jay.
Catfish throwing the ball by McCovey. That'll make it 2 down. Still 2 on. Catfish waiting to see who'll be up there. It's going to be Glenn Beckert. Great number 2 hitter, great winning ball player. Fouls it on.
You know, Ernie, the Chicago Cubs have always had their share of outstanding second basemen. Billy Herman, for example, Kenny Hubbs, Ryan Sandberg, and Beckert rates right among them.
Catfish is serious. Ground ball to Brooks Robinson. Throw to second, and the threat is over. And the American League still leads it 2-1 in the middle of the third.
Give me a light. Ooh, Bud Light. Great game.
If you just ask for a light beer, you never know what you'll get.
Pitcher of light.
Bud Light. So if you want the list filling light beer with the first name and taste, don't just ask for a light beer.
Give me a light.
Ask them to bring out their best.
Bud Light.
Bud Light. Because everything else is just a light.
Big boys got and work.
Here comes Bill Freehand up now against Wilhelm.
All of a sudden, that knuckler, as I said, is zigging when it should zag.
Freehand stays in great shape. Bill Freehand was a fantastic defensive catcher, a great hitter. He hit with home run power, and a team leader. He had all the qualities that you need to be a real all-star.
He came off the college campus at Michigan, didn't he?
He sure did. Played football there.
A successful manufacturer's rep now.
That's right, and does some TV on Pass with Larry Osterman. Trying to keep it going, the American League with the lead. There's one that's gone. Freehand. Puts a little icing on the cake. Hoyt says, I can't believe it. That's the 6th run of this inning. Watch this picture swing. Jack, they always have a certain look when that ball leaves the bat and they know it's gone, don't they?
They sure do. And very often, the look in the pitcher's eyes when that pitch starts up to the plate is a strange one, too.
Catfish keeps it going. There's a base hit by Catfish.
That'll be a ground rule double, Ernie.
Now the top of the batting order for the American Leaguers. Catfish on with Tom Tresh, who had his great years with the Yankees, finished up for the Tigers.
The first time I saw this guy, he was 5 years old, and his father, Mike Tresh, suited him up at Sox Park.
And that one's gone. Oh, that one suited Mr. Tresh, and he hit it out of here. So the American League keeps on keeping on.
Well, they batted around.
Lindy McDaniel throwing in the bullpen. That's 8 runs in. Are you counting them?
Incidentally, Cranepool's out in left field now, and Brock is over in center, and Becker's over at second base, and Willie Stargell's at first base.
And Wilhelm still taking the punishment on the mound. Here's Cookie Rojas.
Second time up.
Yes, sir. Second time around.
He singled to start it all.
And that one's gone. Rojas homers. Get to be contagious.
Wow, a homer and a single in the same inning. They're going to have their hands full, and they're trying to pick out the most valuable player in this game, the one to sit in that rocking chair next year in their seat of honor.
Well, the crowd loves those home runs. Freehand, Stretch, and now Rojas in this one inning. Colavito hit one earlier.
And that's all for Mr. Wilhelm.
Lindy McDaniel replacing Hoyt Wilhelm. American League 11, National League 1.
Of all the great memories I've had, certainly one of the greatest had to involve this fellow, because I happened to be with the late Russ Hodges, assigned to the World Series in '54. We were doing the national television when Willie made that great catch on Vic Wirtz. That is still regarded as the catch in World Series history. And I still don't see how he did it. Yet Russ said, you know, because he covered the Giants, that was almost a routine for Willie, the way he could field that position. There's Lindy McDaniel. Lindy is a minister now. Well, let's go down to George, down to the American League dugout.
Former Yankee Tommy Tresh, it's like Yankee Stadium, the short porch. You'll take it, right?
Hook it right around the pole. That's right. I'll tell you, it's exciting to get in a big stadium like that again and step up the plate. It's just fantastic feeling.
What a great night, isn't it?
Great, super.
Your memories of the Yankees brought with them some great days and some great events.
I played with some legends, you know, and they make a lot of money today, but I'll tell you, I look back and I feel very lucky that I played with the guys that I played with.
Congratulations, Tom. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Lindy McDaniel taking over now, and when you hear these old-timers talk, you got a feeling that they really enjoyed their careers and had a great time, and they're back to renew that now here in Washington. Brooks Robinson at the plate. Second time up in this inning for Brooks. He struck out against Wilhelm the first time. I remember when Brooks first reported to Baltimore, I was working with the Orioles. He was about 18 years old, skinny, frail kid. Didn't look like he would do much hitting. Although he broke in the game in Washington, I think he had about 3 or 4 hits, and he figured, well, it's going to be easy, but he found out later it wasn't. There's a shot into left for a base hit. Robinson keeps it moving along.
I would imagine that percentage-wise, his clutch hitting record was outstanding.
Yeah, he was good with the men on the bases, no question about that. And just an all-around great guy. Here's his K-line up again. Second time for Al in this inning.
Does Al still have horses?
No, he gave those up.
I know he had a little meat cake for a while with the commissioner's office on whether he should be allowed to keep them.
Yeah, that was back in '60 when Bill DeWitt didn't like the idea that Al had a racing stable.
Well, talking about the racing world and so forth, Judge Landis was tough on guys who played horses, and he called Hornsby in one time, and Hornsby loved to bet the horses. He said, well, you still going around with those horses a lot, Rogers? And Hornsby said, yes, Judge. He said, I play the horses and I pay off 100 cents on the dollar.
Jack Dunn at Baltimore told me when he had Rogers managing the ball club in the International League that Rogers took his own tout on the road with him. He had his own handicapper. Millie McDaniel pitching to Al Kaline.
Good crowd tonight.
Having a good time, too. You can tell that.
Good crowd. There's got to be around 25 to 30,000. We'll get the figure later.
Ball 4, Kaline gets the walk. Brooks is on second now. Kaline on first. And here's Gene Woodling again. Yeah, you were talking about Casey Stengel and Gene. I know Gene told me a lot of times that he had a few words with Casey, and he had a few words for Casey, too. He didn't like that platooning system very much. Gene didn't.
Well, Gene played for him in the Pacific Coast League and also, of course, in the American League. So he had a lot of experiences with Casey. Matter of fact, the first World Series I ever worked was 1950, and in the fourth game of that series, which the Yankees won in 4 from the Phillies, Gene dropped a fly ball with the bases full in the 9th inning. A couple of runs came in, and so Casey pulled Whitey forward, and everybody wanted the kid to be able to finish and get his complete game before he went into the service, which he was going in the next day or two. The crowd booed Casey, but all of a sudden, in came Mr. Ollie Reynolds, and 3 pitches later, the World Series was all over.
I think Casey knew what he was doing most of the time, don't you?
I can still see the way he held his palms up and shrugged his shoulder to the crowd, the gesture saying, I have to do it. Don't get mad at me. It's all I can do.
Woodley reminds you a little bit of Musial in that stance, that peek around the corner stance.
Had a good break on the weather, and they had this one coming.
Yeah, they'd had some bad ones previously, hadn't they?
Right.
Well, that takes care of Mr. Woodling. Out on strikes.
Coming up now is one of my favorite people in this whole sport, the Moose. Bill Skowron. I guess he's going to bat for Powell, huh?
Right.
Moose has played some 39 games at first base in World Series competition, more than anyone else in the American League ever, including Lou Gehrig and Joe Collins. And I think that maybe Gil Hodges might have equaled him in the National League. I'll have to check that, Ernie. But anyway, nobody has played more games at first base in World Series competition than Skowron.
Got his nickname not because he was big, but because he looked like Mussolini.
And he's a good Polish boy.
Yeah.
First time I ever met him, he was a left-footed punter at Purdue. Went down there on a football scholarship, but baseball was his sport. He's in a business now that manufactures checks for banks. And, other people use checks.
I'm glad you said for banks. Three-1 the count on him. They're 2 out. Big inning for the American League. And the Moose gets the base on ball. (11-1), the American League in the lead. Noren, talking about horses, here's a man that's got a stable of racing horses. In fact, he named one after our good friend Jim Possum Woods. Jim Woods had a horse named after him. Yep, the old Poss.
Well,
Mr. Noren comes up with a base hit.
I have to say this, if ever a broadcaster deserved to have a horse named after him, it would be the Possum, because he supported enough of them.
Yeah, he made his contribution, didn't he? Jim Woods is now down in Florida, Oviedo. He and Audrey enjoying retirement down there. Bill Freehan up again. Well, he was up in this inning early and hit a 3-run homer.
Got a chance to do it again. There are 2 men on.
Why not? Lindy McDaniel not giving him anything to hit on that first pitch. Eleven to 1 to score. The American League in the lead.
Ernie, if he gets one here, there'll be no living with him.
He's serious. Uh-oh. There it goes. He did it. Oh, about there, huh? Ha! 2 3-run homers in 1 inning for Bill Freehan. Well, that's a month's work for most hitters.
Hey, that's a record no matter what game we're talking about. What league, what team, what town.
Here he comes, Bill Freehan.
2 3-run home runs in 1 inning. Boy, Ernie, that is something.
Well, Mr. McDaniel has gotten the shock, too. Let's go to George in the dugout.
Not 1, but 2 home runs for Bill Freehan. You'll take them.
In a game like this, it's fun. With that left field porch out there, you're almost embarrassed when you hit the ball because there have been some better balls hit, but shoot, it's a big thrill.
First one came off the knuckleball. Was it tougher to hit or to catch?
Oh, I thought it definitely was tougher to catch than it was to hit. Now, he threw me a slow curveball. He didn't get his knuckleball across, went behind 3-0, and then he came back with a couple of slow curveballs.
Billy, go get him. Good seeing you.
Nice to be here and be part of an event like this.
I always like Bobby Euchre's definition of how to catch and handle the knuckleball. Just wait till it stops rolling and then pick it up.
Here's one of my favorites, Tony Oliva. What a great hitter he was. And he still is. A shot up the middle for a base hit for Tony. Tony could have gone on a lot more years except for those bad knees he had. Won the batting title the first 2 years he played and kept on hitting, and then the knees got to him. Now it'll be Tresh coming up again. He had a home run a long time ago, early in this inning. There's a strike called.
Another one of those second-generation major leaguers.
A lot of them around these days.
His father, Mike, was outstanding with the White Sox behind the plate.
Well, we've seen a lot of pitches tonight to throw that 58-foot fastball, haven't we? Frank Thomas is there, and believe it or not, the inning is over. It did come to not a screeching halt, but at least a close. And the American League leads 16-1 at the end of 3.
You know, a big wheeler dealer like me has to keep up on the action. The players, who's hot, who's not. And what's a better deal than picking up a copy of Sports Illustrated? You see, Sports Illustrated...
Excuse me, sir, but I got a better deal.
Tony Oliva's gone off to right field now in place of Noren. Noren limps a little bit now. He looks like he may have, maybe pulled a hamstring or something, making a dive for that drive of Woodward's.
Here's Randy Hundley, the Cub catcher. Really the guy that brought one-hand catching into baseball.
That's
What
right.
a job he did.
Yeah.
And Johnny Bench was another example of that. Now everybody does it. You don't have the broken fingers you used to have.
Randy's father's the one who encouraged him to do that and taught him how to do it. And, of course, Randy popularized it. He's quite popular in Chicago now and quite prominent. He has those fantasy baseball camps, and they're really getting around a lot.
Is he the guy that originated that idea?
Well, I don't know if he is or not, but he certainly is the most prominently identified with it right now of all the players around.
Well, it's been a lot of fun and a great success.
Randy says he's thinking about including fantasy broadcasting and fantasy sports writing in those things maybe one of these days. You want to be a baseball writer? You want to be a baseball broadcaster?
Well, he's fouled off a few. He's hit the ball pretty well, but not fair, and Mudcat's trying to get him out. Ground ball to second. He makes a good play. Over to Skowron.
Pretty good range.
Run scores on that one. Woody Woodward crosses the plate with the second run for the National League. It's 16-2, the American League now.
Hey, you want to see a real
Look at that
rarity?
replay, Jackson.
Yeah.
He's serious about that.
You want to see a real rarity?
What's that?
Willie Stargell is batting in the number 9 spot.
Let's go to Jay in the dugout.
Talk to me about the 1970 Cincinnati Reds.
Oh, my goodness. How much time do we have? That was the beginning of the Big Red Machine. You had a young Johnny Bench. You had Tony Perez. You had Lee May. Surprisingly, we had very strong pitching. Everybody remembers the hitters. Tolan, my goodness, it was a great club. There weren't too many things that club could not do. But when we got to the World Series, we ran up against a real buzzsaw in Baltimore. And that became known as the Brooks Robinson series. And doggone it, every time I look at him, I think of those catches and those hits that he made against us.
Woody working with George Steinbrenner's New York Yankees now in the front office. Here's Pops. Woody Stargell against Mudcat Grant. It's 16-2, the American League on top. Skowron picks it off. He was in among them, and he makes the catch. That's all for the National Leaguers. And the American League leads 16-2 in the middle of the fourth.
Fixing this water damage will cost $1,200. Could I have prevented it?
You could with Thompson's Water Seal.
This water damage is going to run $750. What would have stopped it?
Prevent water damage with Thompson's Water Seal. Simply brush Thompson's on wood, brick, or concrete, and it penetrates to form a barrier water can't get past, even when driven by 98-mile-per-hour winds.
This time, I'm going to protect my new deck with Thompson's Water Seal. A great defense against repair expense.
Of course, in Chicago, the one that we were pulling for the most to eventually get in the World Series was Ernie Banks.
Fly ball to center. Mr. Brock takes care of that one.
You know, as far as pitchers go, a fellow by the name of Fergie Jenkins deserved a better fate, too. He has certainly earned a World Series shot.
Here's Brooks Robinson. It's like every time we look up, Brooks is at bat. Brooks telling Tug, you're not supposed to be that sharp. 16-2, the American League leads it. Down the left field corner. Now let's go to George Grand. He's down in the American League dugout.
Talk about milestones. When Mudcat Grant won more than 20 games in 1965 for Minnesota, you became the first black ball player ever to do that. I know you're proud of that, Mudcat.
I am very proud of that, and for a long time I didn't think about it one way or another, but in the last 5 or 6 years I've thought a lot about it, and I'm very proud of that accomplishment.
That's an American League record that you'll always hold, but I'm sure you remember that World Series game number 6 a little bit stronger.
You are right about that, because I hit a home run in that ball game, and I remember that so vividly, and there were a lot of people around the country that called that shot.
1965 in that year, was that your greatest memory?
I think that in a way, yes. But the first Major League contract that I signed in 1958, that was my greatest memory. We only had about 8 teams in the league, and that was quite an accomplishment at that time.
It's a nice night, isn't it?
It's a beautiful night. You know, an old-timers game with 25,000 people here, and to be on the same team with Bob Feller, Moose Scout, Larry Doby, my old battery mate Earl Batty, and to play against the Brox and all of those guys over the other side, this is fantastic.
And you're still smiling after all those years.
Well, there's nothing to frown about. This is great.
Always liked Mudcat. He was a pitcher, a musician, and also a baseball announcer for a while.
Right. Very articulate young man.
Here's Larry Doby.
Here's one of my favorite fellas. I got to know him real well. He was with the White Sox, of course. He even ran the ball club. And, of course, he has something that nobody will ever take away from him. He was the first black ever to play in the American League, thanks to Bill Veeck.
And later a manager.
Yes.
A lot of people have forgotten how much power this guy had with a stick, too, Jack.
He could rip it. He could really rip it.
American League is ahead 16-2. We're in the bottom of the 4th inning. Didn't quite get that one. Tug McGraw still sharp. 2-2 the count on Doby.
Looks pretty serious, doesn't he?
He does. Got him. That's 2 out in the 4th inning. Now Gene Woodling. Gene Woodling at the plate. Gene came to Baltimore from the Yankees in the deal that had more players than any deal in history. It's a fly ball to the outfield. Brock is there, and that takes care of the inning. And the glove is still working for Tug McGraw. American League leads 16-2.
Hello, Linus. I see your blanket's out for washing. I feel so insecure. Security is what...
It'd be a batter standing out there looking at him and the way he could fog it.
Lou Brock's going to have to face him here in the 5th inning. Brock's been in there all the way. This will be his 3rd time at bat. Bounce out on the single. Now we'll go to Jay Johnstone in the National League dugout.
You got a little bit extra Ben Gay for your neck after watching all those home runs.
I think we're going to need it, but Lou and I had it figured out. After the first home run, I was going about 10 rows deep, and I think Lou was going about 20 rows deep, but we couldn't get over the fence. There's no opening out there. Otherwise, next inning, I think we're going to climb over the fences before the start of it.
Bring back some memories for you.
This looks like 62 all over again, but I think they should have changed the catcher. Obviously, Grody was calling the wrong signals. It wasn't the pitching staff. It's got to be the catcher.
Eddie Craneville, thanks a lot.
Lou Brock, the hitter, 16-2. The American League has the lead. We're in the 5th inning in Washington. Sudden Sam's not as sudden as he used to be.
Very few people are.
Tony Oliva. 2 Bad knees and all, Tony can still do it. Let's take another look, and I want to see what kind of a mitt he's wearing there. He's not wearing an outfielder's glove. First baseman mitt does the job. Now we'll have a new American League pitcher. The young man used to be a young man from New England. Bill Monbo.
Here comes one of the original Mets, Frank Thomas, Ernie. Frank was a power hitter. He loved the short porches at the Polo Grounds, and in the first year of the Mets' existence in 1962, Frank hit 2 homers in 3 consecutive games to tie a Major League record. This year, the Mets are celebrating their silver anniversary, and some of Frank's fondest memories are of their original skipper, Casey Stengel.
When the Mets first came into existence in the Polo Grounds, they had 2 signs, one on the right field foul line, one on the left field foul line with a boat, picture of a boat. And every time that you would hit that wall, the boat on a fly, you'd get 5 points. If you'd hit it on a bounce, it would be 3 points. And if you hit it if it just rolled there, they'd give you 1 point. At the end of the year, they would total up the points, and whoever got the most points would win the boat. Well, I was up hitting this one day, and strictly a pull hitter, and I pulled one, and it just went foul. And Casey yelled from the bench real loud, and you could hear it as plain as day. He said, "If you want to be a sailor, join the Navy." And I just cracked up. I got out of the batter's box, and I just laughed like anything until I got my composure and went back in.
Didn't Casey always have the right word at the right time? Thomas at the plate. A man on and a man out. Here's a drive into left field. Gene Woodling picks it up after it goes through his legs, and it is a single for Frank Thomas. Mambo Cat on the mound. Here's Cranepool, Ed Cranepool. To 2, the American League leads it. Brooks Robinson with a great stop and a throw to second, but it's a little bit wide. Well, that was a 1970 stop, but a 1986 throw, I think, for Brooksy. World Series stop, but the throw was a little less than that. Great stop to his left. Down on his knees. Now he lets it fly, and it is over the head of Rojas and into right field.
See the diving, rolling try Cookie made for that one?
Sturgill up there. It's Rojas. Double play. Rojas to Fett. The scout. And that's all for the National League in their 5th inning. Go to the last half of the 5th, American League 16, National League 2.
Fixing this water damage will cost $1,200. Could I have prevented it?
You could with Thompson's Water Seal.
This water damage is going to run $750. What would have stopped it?
Prevent water damage with Thompson's Water Seal. Simply brush Thompson's on wood, brick, or concrete, and it penetrates to form a barrier water can't get past, even when driven by 98-mile-per-hour winds.
This time, I'm going to protect my new deck with Thompson's Water Seal. A great defense against repair expense.
Fixing this water damage will cost $1,200. Could I have prevented it?
You could with Thompson's Water Seal.
This water damage is going to run $750. What would have stopped it?
Prevent water damage with Thompson's Water Seal. Simply brush Thompson's on wood, brick, or concrete, and it penetrates to form a barrier water can't get past, even when driven by 98-mile-per-hour winds.
This time, I'm going to protect my new deck with Thompson's Water Seal. A great defense against repair expense.
Tuesday, the newest entry on the auto racing scene is on ESPN in the American Racing Series from the Meadowlands. Tuesday at 5 Eastern.
The rules are a little bit different in this game. The American League is leading 16-2, but they will still bat in the last half of the final inning, which is the 5th. And George Kell, the American League batting champion, now a fine telecaster for the Detroit Tigers, will lead it off. And he swings and misses on McGraw's first pitch. Here's an old pal of yours, Jack.
Yes, I never saw a fellow who could place hit the way Kell did. They talked about Wee Willie Keeler, but I always thought Kell was one of the best place hitters I ever saw.
Just like that, a single to left. And now let's go to the dugout and go to George.
We hear a lot about Roger Clemens these days, but the man who held the strikeout record for the Red Sox before Roger Clemens, Bill Mambuquette. Mambo, remember that day back in 1961, the strikeout day?
Well, I guess, those are one of the highlights of your career. What really amazed me about this, George, I've told a lot of people, is that he struck out 20 in Fenway, and I think that's probably the hardest part in baseball, to strike a lot of hitters out, because of the hitters, number one, don't take a lot there. They adjust their stance. They get closer to the plate. They open up. And I think to be successful, they have to pitch inside. And he does pitch inside a lot. But I saw some film on him, and he was his curveball was really quick, and his fastball was exploding. And, I wasn't the type of pitcher he was. He's just the old-fashioned, overpowering type guy. And I was really happy for him.
May the 12th, 1961, you struck out 17, a great memory. Was that your greatest memory, or was it the no-hitter in 62?
Well, my no-hitter was probably my greatest thrill, but, I almost lost that game right here, and it took a great catch by Jackie Jensen in right field to save it, and I'd have lost it 3-2.
It's a nice night tonight, isn't it?
It's beautiful, and I'm really happy to be here, George. This is great.
And it's interesting to hear Mambo's comments about Roger Clemens. Earl Batty, who did a lot of catching in the American League with the Minnesota Twins, one, the White Sox another one. Twins during their championship year. McGraw still on the mound. Kell's at first base. It's 16-2. The American League leads it in the last half of the fifth inning.
Here's a fellow who really fooled a lot of people. In the deal where the White Sox, under Bill Veeck, got Roy Seaver, Batty went along as a throw-in. The money was the most important thing, but boy, did he turn out to be some kind of a catcher.
Woody Woodward puts that one away, the shortstop. Batty is out. And we'll see another pitcher come to bat, Sam McDowell.
The rules are a little loose in this one, Ernie. McDowell pitched to one man, left the ball game. Now he's back in as a hitter.
Well, he pointed to the bleachers a la Babe Ruth. Let's see what happens.
Well, here you have a situation where the home team is ahead in the bottom of the last inning, but they're still going to bat because they want to let the folks see as much of these great players as they can.
Hey, that's not to the bleachers. That's a bunt. Tug threw it away. That's 2 on now for the American League. One man down. They lead it 16-2, and they're still trying to get some more runs. Can you imagine that?
They've given McDowell a sacrifice on that, but I watch him claim that he should get a hit on that drag bunt.
Tresh will be the batter. Had a home run earlier. That's the high, hard one right there. His real big year with the Yankees.
Let's see if McGraw comes up with the Scroogey here.
Well, he hit it, yep. That'll drop in for a base hit. Lou Brock having a little fun with the juggling act. Now let's go to Jay.
Jerry, I've always tried to be a fair guy, but Eddie Craneful said the reason you're getting beat is you call a lousy game.
I didn't even call the pitch that time. No, I tell you what, this is a situation here where we're, I just hate like hell to lose. And I'm always one that goes out and gives 100%. And one way or the other. But in this situation here tonight, they just got their hitting shoes on, and their pitching was a little bit better than ours.
Well, you have to realize it's for fun, and they're not pitching like they did in their prime, and they're just trying to really let the guys hit the ball.
Well, I don't know. Some guys hit the ball just like they did in their prime, and some guys pitch just like they did in their prime. No, this is. I had the joke when I came up to hit and came up with bases loaded and hit a ground ball to the shortstop. I said, well, I haven't lost my touch. It's still there, just like I always did.
Thanks, Jerry Brody.
Cookie Rojas will get another swing. Strike called on Cookie. Pops it up. That's Beckert. And he makes the catch. Let's go to George Grand in the dugout.
Hall of Famer George Kell. George, what a special night this is.
It is. It's a great night. It's a great night anytime you come here and see all the guys that you played with and against, and so much enthusiasm. Everybody wants to win, and they really bear down.
People remember you, of course, for Detroit, but the guy playing third base tonight, Brooks Robinson, you were with here.
Yeah, Brooks and I played on the same ball club together the last year I played in the major leagues. And I knew then he's going to be a great ball player. And not only that, but he makes me so proud. He's a great individual, and I like that.
George, great seeing you again.
Thank you, George.
Bill Skowron at the plate again. It's 17-2 now, the American League in the lead. We're in the fifth inning. That's the last inning. It's the last half of the fifth. Foul shot hit down the first base side. This guy, pretty good football player.
Very good. He went to college on a football scholarship, but as I said earlier, he decided that baseball was his game.
American League's had most of the fun here in Washington. 17-2, they lead it.
I guess you could say they're getting a little even tonight.
Yeah. American League won the first game, and the National League won the next three. So Moose is fighting off those pitches from Tug McGraw.
Whoop.
We've seen a few that have missed the strike zone tonight.
You know, even the close ones, Moose could look over. Look that one over.
Yeah, he did. That was a close one. He gets himself a walk. Now Larry Doby, Larry struck out the last time he came to that.
Looks just as serious this time as he did the last.
I think McGraw and Catfish have thrown the ball harder than any two pitchers we've seen tonight. A lot of pride in this game. These guys want to do well, even though it's mainly for fun.
Like we said earlier, when they cross those white lines, that old competitive spirit comes back.
Always there, Jack. Brock can't handle it. It'll be a base hit. And some more American League scoring.
Well, McDowell and Tresh came in on that one.
That's 19-2. Count them. And here's the pride of Medina, Ohio, Gene Woodling. Looked like to me McGraw stuck out his tongue.
I think McGraw's going to complain that he should get a save here.
They should save something. Woodling's still serious about this thing. Uh-oh. Oh, that's it. Lines out to Becker, and it is all over. The American Leaguers come out on top. It was a picnic for the American League. And all the great stars getting a fine ovation from the baseball fans in Washington, and they respond with hats off to the fans.
Good show. Good show.
American League wins it 19-2, and we'll be back with more. We had a lot of fun. Let's go now down to Jay Johnstone.
You come into a game and it's 16-2. It's kind of tough to get a save. Huh?
Yeah, there was no save in sight tonight. I'll tell you one thing, though. I really learned something. It was a confirmation. I decided to retire at the end of the '84 season. I'm absolutely, positively sure I made the right decision.
Think the American League was mad for getting beat all those years in the All-Star game?
Well, they're sure taking out their sweet revenge now.
Well, it's all in fun, and we all had a great time. Thanks, Doug.
It was great being out there. Thank you.
Bill Freehan had the 2 home runs. You've heard from him, and our 2 co-players of the game for the American League, Cookie Rojas and Rocky Colavito. Cookie, a couple of great plays with the glove.
Well, thank you, George. I felt good, really out there, and we were just having a blast against the National League, which always said it was better than the American League, and I think we finally proved it, that the American League was better.
And Rocky, you not only came up with a great throw, but you rifled one out there, too, with the bat.
Well, it felt pretty good. This warm weather didn't hurt us anything. You get these old bones loose, and you need heat like this and a little humidity, and it really felt good out there.
The debate back in your day was who had the better arm from right field, you or Roberto Clemente? Let me ask you that question.
That's a tough question, George. I saw Roberto in All-Star games, and I think that would be a question to have to be answered by someone else or somebody unbiased. I really don't know. I know I used to love to throw, and I know Roberto did also, and I know he had a great arm, and he was a great player. And I would hate to try to make a comparison.
Rocky Colavito, Cookie Rojas, 2 guys who've had a lot of fun out here, along with 25,000 other people enjoying this Old-Timers Classic.
Thank you, George. Fun and games, they called it. Fun for everybody, and the players were game. A little bit more paunched than punched sometimes, but I was really impressed by the intensity of these players. They came out to have a good time and to have that little boy feeling, but they also played with a very sharp competitiveness, and they were real combatants in there. The throw by Rocky Colavito, the way that Dick Grote broke up the double play, the play by Cookie Rojas, the 2 home runs by Freehan in 1 inning, showed us that everybody really wanted to get out there and win the ball game. And I tell you, Jack, I'm going to leave here with a real nice, warm feeling.
We all are. I was watching the crowd very carefully there toward the end, Ernie, and the standing ovation that they gave these players and the salute that the players gave to the fans. There was a relationship established there, a warmth and a friendliness that you just can't capture in very many other places in our lifetime. So I agree with you. It was a real great night, and now the National League is yelling, wait till next year.
And we'll say thanks for the memories here in Washington. The 5th Annual National Old Timers Baseball Classic has been brought to you by Bud Light, the light beer with a first name and taste. Everything else is just a light. And by Metropolitan Life and affiliated companies. Get met. It pays. Ernie Harwell speaking for Jack Brickhouse, and from Washington, D.C., so long, everybody.
oddly.
This Sports Center update has been brought to you by Mobil Super Unleaded Gasoline. Higher octane for better performance.
ESPN's World Tour continues. Our next stop is the Italian Grand Prix, and this leg of the tour is brought to you by Pan Am. Lucky viewers will have a chance to be there with us in Monza by entering the World Tour sweepstakes. To enter, watch any of our Grand Prix events in July. Catch the winning slogan that will be broadcast during the telecast. Write it on a card with your name and address and mail to ESPN World Tour, Post Office Box 1176, Ridgely, Maryland, 21683. If you're a winner, Pan Am will fly us to Milan, then we'll tour Venice and continue on to the Grand Prix at Monza. And whenever you travel to Italy, remember that Pan Am offers 3 non-stop 747s each week to Milan and daily non-stop 747 service to Rome. With Pan Am's schedule and experience, you won't want to fly with anyone else. So get your passport ready and join ESPN's World Tour in Italy.
No, how about Kurt Gibson? Want some? Garvey? Okay. How about one of my Mattingly's for your Garvey in the Wiz? No way. Yeah, I'm not trading 2 National Leaguers for a Yankee. Come on! He was only the AL MVP last year. He'll probably win the All-Star game all by himself. Yeah, I can just see it.
American League down by 1. Man on first. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Mattingly. Hit deep to right. Way back. It's gone. The Astrodome crowd is silenced as Don Mattingly's 2-run homer has given the American League a 1-run lead in the 9th.
Oh, sure. Dream on. No way. The National League's going to win. They always win. Okay, then. How about Wally Joyner? You got a Wally Joyner card?
ESPN and Major League Baseball present ESPN's All-Star Salute.
You are looking live at the Hyatt Regency here in downtown Houston, Texas, at the Imperial Ballroom, where the present All-Stars of 1986 and many of the great All-Stars in the past are gathered for the All-Star Roundup. And already the excitement is here as the All-Star game is less than 24 hours away. Hello, everybody. I'm Chris Berman, and this is George Grant. And welcome to our 1986 All-Star Salute. We've got a lot to salute. We've got a lot of memories. We've got a lot of current stories. We can't wait to get started.
Chris, you know, it's amazing. Here in Houston tonight for the 57th All-Star Game, there's Lefty Gomez, who started 5 of the first 6 All-Star games. There's Wally Joyner, who's in his first All-Star game as a rookie. During the course of the next 90 minutes, that's right, 90 minutes live from Houston.
90 minutes,
We'll be talking, you got it.
Okay.
We'll be talking with the 2 starting pitchers. That'll be coming up next. Dwight Gooden and Roger Clemens will be talking to the managers, some of the old-timers that have made this game what it is. It's some of the present-day All-Stars. That's all coming up. So join us and join the party in Houston. The All-Star Game is here.
ESPN's All-Star Salute is brought to you by McDonald's. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's. And by Metropolitan Life and Affiliated Companies. Get Met, it pays.
You're busy, but you gotta eat, right? Well, nobody serves a great hot meal faster than McDonald's, and I figured out how they do it. Watch Marcia. She'll break down and out for a Coke. See how they clear this...
We are back at the All-Star Salute for 1986. The crowd has already gathered around us here. You know, in 1914, the last time the Red Sox won a World Series, the last time they led the American League in ERA, they had a pretty good young pitcher named Babe Ruth. Now, it looks like they have a better young pitcher these days by the name of Roger Clemens, who has lit up the town.
Oh, Chris, there's no doubt about it. When you look at the first half of this 1986 baseball season and you try to put it all together, the biggest story of the year, no doubt, has come from Beantown. First, the Red Sox, who are in first place in the Eastern Division. But secondly, the man who has lit everybody afire is Roger Clemens, the fellow who's put things together. He won 14 consecutive games. He's won 15 games in the first half. For Roger Clemens, his place in history didn't just start this year.
4-3 to score. Texas 1 out away from the national championship. Swings high in the air. This should be it. Texas should have the national championship. Bubbly back to make the play. It belongs to Texas. The 1983 College World Series National Championship team.
23-year-old Roger Clemens is no stranger to the limelight. After winning 25 games in 2 years at the University of Texas, the All-American burst onto the national scene when he led the Longhorns to the World Series title in 1983. A moment that still brings a smile to his face.
I tell you, the last inning, I was about squeezing the laces off the baseball trying to get the last final outs, and it was just a tremendous feeling. Jeff Herron, a catcher for the Toronto Blue Jays, came out, and I had spit on both sides of my mouth. He said I looked like Secretariat running a race. I couldn't even swallow, and we got that out, and it was a big burden lifted off my shoulders. I felt a lot of relief after winning that, and it's something I wanted to accomplish, and it all worked out.
From that high point in 1983, the three-sport high school star succumbed to the injury jinx the next 2 years as his seasons were cut short by stays on the disabled list, leaving baseball folks with questions about his durability.
Well, I was down. The anxiety that was going through me, and it was frustrating, the year was. But like I said, after I made my mind up that I was going to have that surgery, I just made sure I wasn't going to be behind anybody when I came to spring training this year. A lot of hard work, a lot of road work of running and exercising on my shoulders. And I think I surprised a lot of people in the management and a lot of players around me that how ready I was when I came to spring training. But that's all behind me, and like I said, every pitcher I see him I talk to that it seems like they've had some type of injury, so maybe I've had my one initiation fee to get in the big leagues, and it's over now. So it's the hard work's paying off right now, George.
It sure has, because the man they call the Rocket has been baseball's most exciting player so far this season, especially on the night of his record 20 strikeout performance against the Seattle Mariners.
And here they come up at Fenway.
I'm surprised they're going back down. I would think they would just stay up.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to stand up.
A new record. Clemens has set a major league record for strikeouts in a game. 20.
Starting off the season, nothing I could have dreamed. My wildest dreams couldn't even thought of the season I'm having right now. The World Series ranks right at the top of that game, but it was right there with my 15 strikeouts with Kansas City. And then, of course, the 20 strikeouts, nothing can top that right now. Not even a no-hitter for me, because people's thrown no-hitters before, and nobody's ever struck out 20 minutes.
Oh, George, that was awesome. That's the only word I can describe it. I've seen Catfish Hunter pitch a perfect game. I saw Mike Witt pitch a perfect game, the final game of the season in Texas in '83. I've been on the ball club with Tom Seaver, with Nolan Ryan, and just excellent pitchers. And this was the most impressive pitching performance that I've ever seen.
He just looks so smooth out there, like it was effortless for him. And the thing that impressed me the most was how many balls were swung at and missed. I mean, you just don't see that in big league baseball. It just don't happen.
How good can you be?
I don't know. I'm still reaching for the stars, and I'm going to keep reaching until they say it's time for me to stop. I hope I can do be as great as pitcher as the guys they're comparing me with. Of course, we got Seaver over here now, and he's one of them that I've always watched and admired. And if I can throw the ball like he does when I'm 40, I'm still going to be around, I hope.
That's Roger Clemens at Fenway Park in Boston. This is the Rocket near home. 30 miles away from here is his hometown, and he's in Houston. And Rocket, we talked before we ever got here about what it would be like to get to the All-Star game, number one, but to do it in Houston and be with the home folks. What's it like tonight for you?
Oh, it's been a madhouse lately, I tell you. The last 24 hours, not a whole lot of sleep, and Just trying to answer everybody's question and knocking out about 100 reporters at one time. And that leaves little time for yourself. But I got word today that I'm going to have to hit off this man next to me, and that's not good news.
You took BP today. It's been a while since you did that.
Well, it has been. It's been a while since I had any kind of batting practice at all. I wish they had let me know a little bit 5 minutes before batting practice. So I got to hit a little bit in the dome, and it was fun.
Have you had dreams about the All-Star game and performing in it?
Yeah, just watching the other superstars, guys I've watched for a long time, and, just getting to play with them. You walk in the clubhouse, and it looks like somebody made a major trade or something, and you got all these superstars playing with you, so it's going to be fun.
Rocket, best of luck to you tomorrow. Congratulations on a great first half.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That's Roger Clemens, and he mentioned the man who was sitting next to him. The man who was sitting next to him is none other than the National League starter, Dwight Gooden. Dwight, do you remember your first night before the All-Star game?
Oh, yeah, I do, and that was a night. It was tough getting to sleep, and, I just couldn't wait till the next day, and then once the next day got there, it was a great thrill. Been around so many stars in the league, and, once we got time and gave me the call to come in after Fernando, it was a situation that's hard to explain.
Chris, we got two good pitches here.
Well, I don't know. It's a good thing I don't have to get up to the plate against these guys, or anybody else for that matter. Dwight, you've seen the tapes of Rogers' 20 strikeouts. People say that you two guys might be contending for the record, keep putting it up higher and higher every year. What did you think of that when you watched him strike out 20?
Well, watching Roger strike out 20 is really amazing, and it's great for baseball, and I tell you, that's something to be proud of, and when he's out of the game, it's something to look back down the road and tell your grandchildren about.
We talked last week, and you told me, I know all the big names, and they're comparing me to a lot of pitchers in the past, but I never really patterned myself after a Bob Gibson or Sandy Koufax or other guys who are now in your class because you guys are both starting an All-Star game. You pretty much do it your own way, huh?
Well, I just go out. I never really had an idol, but I always took tips from big league players, and my pitching coach, Mel Stoudemire, has a lot of influence on me, and that's helped me along the way.
Of course, you ready to hit against Roger if you got him?
No, I hope not. I hope I'm out of the game by the time I'm hit.
Well, hopefully that's after your 3 innings that you go, and it's no problem. Good luck for both of you guys in the All-Star game, and thanks for joining us.
Sure, thank you. Best of luck, guys.
Roger Clemens and Dwight Gooden with us here, and they'll be starting tomorrow's All-Star game. And obviously, last week when we talked with Dwight already, he was thinking about what starting an All-Star game really means.
Well, it means a great deal, not only making a team, but being a starting pitcher, and give you something to look back on when you're out of the game or down the road, because might be only one chance you get to start.
He may be the only man in America to feel that way, because Dwight Gooden seems to be destined for many more starting nods. Think of the modern-day power pitchers like Bob Gibson, Nolan Ryan, and Sandy Koufax. Gooden's stats are way ahead of all of them at similar stages of their careers, and he's younger, too. At the age of 19 in 1984, Gooden shattered the rookie record for strikeouts, notching 276, which is more than 11 batters a game. With a 17-9 mark, he was the National League's Rookie of the Year. Last season, Dr. K was virtually untouchable, going 24-4 with a frightening 1.53 ERA and 268 more strikeouts, earning the Cy Young Award. Already, though, his career is going full circle, as tomorrow night he'll start his first All-Star game in the same place where he made his Major League debut, the Astrodome, as his proud parents looked on at win number 1.
Yeah, I remember that day a lot, and I think back on it. I remember I couldn't sleep the night before, and the day of the game, it was a night game. And I must have walked to the ballpark, and I think that's about 5 miles away, and so I got to the ballpark about 2 o'clock for like a 7 o'clock game, and that makes it even, great and something to look forward to, starting an All-Star game at a place where you broke into Major Leagues.
Gooden was making a name for himself all right back in 1984, but if the nation had their doubts, all they had to do was watch the '84 All-Star game in San Francisco, when he followed Fernando Valenzuela striking out the side with the same feat in his first All-Star inning.
It was a weird feeling, and when I was out there, I was so pumped, and the big crowd and the All-Star game, and you're facing the best hitters in the league, not only the National League, but all over, and with Gary catching, he helped settle me down a little bit. And striking out the side was like unbelievable feeling.
You look around and you figure, am I really here?
It was hard to believe, and hard to picture me doing that stuff, and it was like a dream.
This year there have been some whispers. Gooden is mortal. He doesn't strike everybody out. He can lose a few games. He can even get hit hard, occasionally. What's the matter? Nothing really. And if you think his velocity is off a bit, forget it.
I'm still have the same velocity that I did last year, and I got to give other hitters credit also that they making adjustments to me and
first couple of years they hadn't seen me, just like I hadn't seen them, and it's a little tougher to strike them out this year, and I'm not really, with 2 strikes, I'm not reaching for that extra. Just going with location and trying to make a better pitch.
Yes, he's learned how to pitch more. He's around the plate, and he'll give a hitter a little bit more to hit, and he's not trying to overpower, and he's not trying to strike everybody out. Not saying that he's not trying for the strikeout, but it's like he knows that he can get by with his velocity and his kind of stuff, that he doesn't have to overthrow.
Another season, another pitch added to Dwight Gooden's repertoire. Can you imagine if he plays for 20 years?
I'm starting to throw more changeups and feel comfortable with it. And on the side, me and Mills thought I've been working on that pitch a lot, and it's come around to help me. And I think somewhere down the road in my career, I'll go to another pitch, and if I do, it'll probably be a split-finger fastball.
I'd hate to imagine you with a knuckleball.
Yeah, that'd be great to have one of those.
You imagine Dwight Gooden with the knuckleball. You know, the way he throws, you probably still feel that even with a knuckler, it would come in at about 90 or 91 miles an hour. Dwight, of course, is not the only pitcher in the National League that we're going to see tomorrow here at the All-Star Game. His teammate with the New York Mets, Sid Fernandez, who has won 12 games this year, El Cid, who is on the NL staff, along with Reds reliever John Franco, Giants veteran pitcher Mike Krukow making his first appearance in a 10-year career, Shane Rawley having a fine year with the Phils, the Terminator, Jeff Reardon, out of the bullpen of the Montreal Expos, Rick Rhoden having a great year with the Pirates, Mike Scott, the strikeout leader in the National League of the Astros, his teammate Dave Smith with all those saves, and, of course, Fernando Valenzuela of the Dodgers.
From Fernando to Cristoforo. And let's check the American League pitchers. Don Ossie, the man who leads everybody in saves so far. What a comeback story he's been. Willie Hernandez, the former Cy Young Award winner. Teddy Higuera of the Milwaukee Brewers. George Bamberger has put together a fine staff, and Teddy's been anchoring it so far. Charlie Huff, the knuckleballer, talking about knuckleballs, will be here. Dave Righetti out of the Yankees. He's looking for a big night. Kenny Schramm, and, of course, Mike Witt, the fireballer, 9-7 with a 3.08 ERA. So that is not a bad pitching staff at all. And we're talking about staffs. We'll take a look at the starters of this 1986 All-Star Game when we return.
And throughout the program, our 90-minute program, we're going to take a look at some very special ESPN All-Star moments like this one.
Certainly remember your first and your last one. My first one was 1967, and I got a chance to be the starting outfielder. And I got there rather early and asked a bat boy, which I thought was a bat boy, for Coca-Cola. So the kid went over and got it and brought it back and introduced himself as Tom Severs. so I certainly remember my first All-Star game.
Cincinnati. I dream of becoming a Major League Baseball player. Now, I'm lucky enough to be living that dream every day. That's what baseball's all about. The dreams of children.
Dad, time to go.
This is ESPN, the Total Sports Network.
Fixing this water damage will cost $1,200.
Good evening. Bob Lee back in the Sports Center newsroom. A few technical difficulties getting our signals out of Houston, Texas. We are working on that right now. And as soon as we reconnect up with Houston and the All-Star Roundup, we'll be getting back to Chris Berman and George Grant on the eve of this All-Star game, visiting with more of the 1986 All-Stars and reminiscing about the great classic, looking at what happened today at batting practice, the home run hitting contest, and the city of Houston, the great dome, the eighth wonder of the world. Well, they'll be playing the game tomorrow night in Houston, Texas. We'll be getting back to Houston in just a second. Among the top stories making news today, though, the fact that the Maryland prosecutor announcing today that they will be issuing subpoenas to the individuals who were with Len Bias the night that he died. That is surprising because under Maryland law, individuals testifying before a drug grand jury are granted immunity. But the prosecutor did hasten to add the fact that the subpoenas were being drawn up does not mean they will indeed be served. Also today, news that the Maryland drug testing program on the campus at College Park may not have been the most effective. We have more on that now from Mike Buchanan.
A week from today, a grand jury will begin hearing testimony about the circumstances surrounding the death of Len Bias, a death caused by cocaine intoxication. Bias died 2 days after he was chosen by the Boston Celtics in the NBA draft. The grand jury will also examine the extent of drug abuse by other Maryland basketball players and the university's role in checking for drugs. Maryland, like other major colleges, has a drug testing program for athletes. Players are periodically checked through laboratory analysis of urine samples. It's a testing procedure that the NFL now also wants to use to test pro players. Prince George's County State's Attorney Arthur Marshall, who's directing the Bias investigation, says detectives have learned that players often beat the system.
We've been told, and apparently it's been somewhat confirmed, that there are all ways of getting around drug testing. We understand that drug testing is done on almost an appointment basis. It's not done on a random basis. It's not done under proper scrutiny. And there are other types of drugs that you can take with the drugs, which apparently do affect the results of the test itself.
Investigators say several players, prior to a scheduled drug test, were taking a diuretic, a root called Golden Seal. It comes in tablet or tea form.
Well, Golden Seal is a diuretic, basically. This apparently has been confirmed that it could have an effect if you took it in advance. We have been told that you could take Drano and put it under your fingernails and drop it into the specimen, and this has been confirmed, and I guess if you wanted to, you could have, and we've been told this has happened, somebody else's specimen be brought in and be taped to your sock, and if you're not watched carefully, you just use somebody else's specimen.
Authorities say they have information that while some coaches were strict about drug abuse, others turned their backs and ignored violations. Officials at the University of Maryland say there will be changes in the drug testing program and procedures. And sources say there could well be changes in the athletic department, personnel changes. It began 3 weeks ago as a death investigation. It's developed into what some are now calling Terrapin-gate. I'm Mike Buchanan, Eyewitness News.
And again, that grand jury will be hearing. The investigation begins 7 days from today, next Monday. Bob Lee again of the Sports Center newsroom. We apologize for those of you watching our ESPN All-Star Salute live from Houston, Texas. We're working on our technical problems on getting the signal out of Houston and off the satellite and back down into your home. As soon as we get that fixed up, we'll be getting right back down to Chris Berman and George Grant on the eve of the 1986 All-Star Game. I'll step aside for just a second as we come back working on our problems and back live to Houston, Texas. I'll be right back.
In sports, timing is everything, and the same goes for watching sports. If your timing is a little off, you could miss some great action. No one knows that better than ESPN. That's why we offer our monthly sports guide. The ESPN Sports Guide gives you the inside track and the greatest variety of sports programming offered today. Every race, every game, every instructional series, every rewarding promotion, challenges, action, the best sports news. ESPN has it all. Why play hit or miss with your favorite events? For less than 42 cents an issue, you can guarantee yourself a seat at all your favorite games. That's $4.95 for 12 exciting months of Sports Guide. To subscribe, call 1-800-544-1000 or send your check to Sports Guide, Box 1840, Bristol, Connecticut, 06010. Act now. After all, timing is everything. And now is the time to order your ESPN Sports Guide.
When you buy a Nissan 300ZX, you buy a legend, a tradition of many Z cars, each meticulously made to the tolerance of an expensive watch. You buy a racing heritage unmatched by any car in its class. But most of all,